The Boston Celtics Philadelphia 76ers rivalry continues, with these two teams about to match up in the playoffs for the third time in 5 years. The 76ers were the first team to advance to the second round, taking out the broom and sweeping the Brooklyn Nets, and the Boston Celtics took out the Atlanta Hawks in 6 games. This is an exciting matchup that fans knew was going to happen for months now. So in this video, I'll briefly break down both teams, the keys for both teams to win, the X factors, and I'll give my ultimate prediction on who I think is going to win this series and in how many games. The Celtics are of course led by their dynamic duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They both played really well against Atlanta. Tatum averaged 30 points per game in that series while Jaylen Brown averaged 23. And what's really scary for opponents is that the Celtics don't need the Jays to dominate every possession in order for Boston to thrive. Derek White has really blossomed in the playoffs, where he's become one of Boston's top scorers, playmakers, and defenders. Marcus Smart gives Boston incredible two-way production at the point guard position, and Malcolm Brogdon, who's this year's Sixth Man of the Year, gives Boston incredible off-the-bench production. The Celtics' multiple scoring options makes them incredibly tough to defend, and they're also great defensively, currently ranking 6th in the playoffs in defensive rating. The 76ers dominated their first round matchup against the Nets, and interestingly enough, they did it with both James Harden and Joel Embiid playing below their normal standards. For both Embiid and Harden, their scoring inefficiency was way below what they averaged in the regular season, but several of their teammates stepped up. Tyrese Maxey has actually been the scoring leader for the 76ers so far in the playoffs at 22 a game. His ability to get downhill and finish at the rim is excellent, but he also spaces the floor really well from downtown. Tobias Harris has also raised his game up, averaging 20 points and 9 boards a game in the playoffs. The 76ers have some really good scoring options next to their dynamic duo. They have great outside shooting, and they also defend really well, currently ranking 2nd in the playoffs in defensive rating. Now for the keys for both teams. One of the keys for Philly is going to be the status of Joel Embiid, because it's currently unknown if he's going to be good to go come game 1. Joel Embiid sprained his knee in Game 3 of the Nets series, and the latest report from Doc Rivers was that Joel Embiid has a 50% chance of playing in Game 1. The 76ers not only need Embiid ready to go, but they're going to need him to dominate this Celtics series, and he did dominate the Celtics in the regular season. He averaged 37 points per game on over 60% shooting in those 4 games. He was able to dominate on the low post, where his size and strength makes him unstoppable down there, and he got to the free throw line a ridiculous amount of times. In this series, the 76ers are going to need Joel Embiid to dominate on the inside and get Boston's big men in foul trouble. Now, the Celtics are likely going to load up on Embiid in the paint and send double teams and help defense, and it's critical that the 76ers are able to hit the outside shots to punish Boston for defending Embiid this way. Another key for the 76ers is James Harden, because for the second playoffs in a row, he's struggling mightily from 2-point range. Now, he's shooting the 3 ball really well. That step back 3 is still money, and he's knocking down 42% of his threes in the playoffs. But he's struggling mightily to score on his drives to the rim. His athleticism has declined, and as a result, he's not getting the same lift that he used to get to on his drives. Now we're seeing James Harden get blocked on his drives to the rim more than we ever have before. And not only that, James Harden isn't getting to the foul line at the same rate as he used to. Now, the 76ers were able to get by the Brooklyn Nets with James Harden playing this way, but in order to get by Boston, James Harden is going to need to be much more of a scoring threat. As for Boston, they match up really well with Philadelphia defensively. They have some great perimeter defenders between Marcus Smart and Derek White that they could use to put on James Harden. And those guys need to take away James Harden's step back 3 and force him into the paint where he's very inefficient. And Boston has a lot of big bodies that they could use to put on Joel Embiid. Al Horford has historically been a very good post defender against Joel Embiid. And Boston could also roll with their 2 big man lineup when they put both Al Horford and Robert Williams on the floor to have some extra size out there, and they could use the Time Lord to help out on Joel Embiid's drives. And if I was Boston, I would use the Time Lord to guard PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker's a good defender, but he could essentially be ignored on offense. And this would allow Boston to send more help defense and double teams Joel Embiid's way. And this would allow them to get the ball out of Joel Embiid's hands while not getting punished from the outside. The Celtics' 5-out spacing could prove to be devastating for Philly's defense. Joel Embiid is a great rim protector, but Al Horford's ability to hit from deep at a high percentage should pull him out of the paint. And while the floor is spaced from 1 through 5, Boston often plays with 4 players that can all get to the rim at will. Boston should look to attack James Harden, who's not a great on-ball defender. The Celtics should use screens to get Harden switch on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which will only make it easier for them to heat up and take over games. The Sixers are great defensively, but Boston's incredible floor spacing along with their great shot creators and playmakers makes them a tough matchup. Now let's discuss X factors. The main X factor for Philly in this series is Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey has been a rising star for the 76ers in the playoffs. With Embiid banked up and Harden limited, Maxey has been a dominant player as a third option scorer. His ability to drive and finish is not only great, but he's a true 3-level scorer, able to create from the mid-range and hit from the outside. The 76ers are going to need Maxey to continue to dominate in the Celtics series with James Harden declining. And as for Boston, their X factor is Derek White. Like Maxey, White is breaking out in these playoffs. He averaged 20 a game in the Hawks series. White is not only driving and finishing at the basket really well, but he's also hitting from deep at a high percentage. And along with being a great offensive creator, Derek White has also been one of Boston's top defenders. If White keeps up this level of production, then Philly is going to be in serious trouble. Now for my prediction. I'm sorry Sixers fans, but I think the Celtics are going to end up winning this series in 6 games. I think they're the much deeper team. I think they have many more guys that could create for themselves and others at a higher level. And I'm sure Joel Embiid is going to get his numbers, but I think the lack of consistent perimeter shooting around him and the questions around Joel Embiid's durability coming off that knee sprain, it's just going to be too much for the 76ers to overcome. But that's my take. Now I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think wins this series and in how many games? Tell me in the comments. Guys, I'm going to continue to cover this playoff series and other playoff series as well. So if you enjoyed this preview and want to see more just like it, drop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day, guys.